Thanks, Keith. Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Davis, VP of Business Development with Sunridge Gold. We are in Eritrea. We've been exploring in Eritrea for about 7 or 8 years now. We've had a tremendous amount of success. We now have 4 deposits that are currently in pre-feasibility and feasibility. 3 of them are VMS deposits, base metals and precious metals, Mbadero, encompasses, and Debarwa. Between them, we have a combined measured and indicated resource of 1.3 billion pounds of copper, 2.5 billion pounds of zinc, almost 1 million ounces of gold, and 28 million ounces of silver. We have a 4th deposit, gold only, where we have an inferred resource, 189,000 ounces of gold contained. Now, these fairly impressive metals, they range from what we would call mid-grade to high-grade to super high-grade. They're in 3 or 4 discrete bodies, and we expect in these studies most of these to be converted to reserves. As I said, we're in feasibility at Debarwa. We're in pre-feasibility on the area known as the Asmara North Project, and we do have a tremendous amount of exploration upside to go. Upon completing these studies next month, we're going to go full into bankable feasibility study on all 4 of our deposits collectively. The country of Eritrea, located on the Red Sea. The capital city is Asmara. It's 120 kilometers from the port of Massawa. Our land position is to the north, west, and south in red around Asmara, 600 square kilometers. Also notable, I'm sure you're all aware of Nevson's project Bisha out in the west, and Zera is a gold project which was developed by Chalice and recently sold to a Chinese mining firm. Asmara, as far as we are concerned, it is the safest and most beautiful capital city in all of Africa. It was a former Italian colony, and being in Asmara is like being in an Italian village. It's great architecture, excellent food, Italian food, and the best coffee in the world. The population of Eritrea, 4 million people, and business is conducted in English. The mining code was based on the Northern Territory in Australia, and we have the benefit of excellent infrastructure. We have paved roads throughout our project, grid power, rail and road to the port of Massawa, and we've got excellent water supply for future mining operations. I mentioned Nevson. They've been producing for just over a year now. There was a hiccup recently, but as far as I'm concerned, it's still an amazing project. And their cash flow has been great. They have over $350 million in the bank now, as far as I understand, and demonstrating that Eritrea is a great place to operate. Also, Chalice, it's the first time this has happened in the country. They've recently sold their project to a Chinese mining firm. Now, our land position, as I said, it's 600 square kilometers to the north, west, and south of the city. There's the capital city of Asmara. It's about 50 kilometers top to bottom. We have 3 main focuses currently. Number 1, Debarwa. We're in feasibility. That should be complete in about a month's time. Focus number 2, the Asmara North deposits, which are based around the large Mbadero and a couple of satellite deposits. We're in pre-feasibility there. That'll be complete in mid-April. And focus number 3 is exploration upside. We haven't explored in a few years, but we're back at it now. So starting with Debarwa, down in the south. Debarwa has been known since the 60s. It's a very, very high-grade VMS project. Similar to Bisha, it's smaller, but it's extremely high-grade. All in, there's about 200 million pounds of copper with zinc and precious metals. And it offers us the opportunity to fast-track the production because it has a component which we call the DSO zone, a very high-grade component that we can possibly mine, crush, and direct ship to a smelter, so a low capital cost for startup, which will bring us significant cash flow in the first year of operations. As I said, it's about 25 kilometers south of the capital city, and we're in feasibility right now. The deposit itself, like a lot of these VMS projects in the area, they've oxidized where they've been exposed. The top 30 meters is a gold oxide zone, and then 30 meters down to about 65, that purple band, is the supergene copper zone, very high grade. It averages 5% copper. And then the primary material, open to depth, very high grade again, 2.2% copper, 3.9% zinc. And that DSO zone that I mentioned is right around where that ellipsoid is. It sits there, 116,000 tons of material. It averages 16% copper with gold and silver. It sits in a zone about 140 meters long strike. So We feel, I mean, the feasibility study will further define this, but we're expecting to get that into production for a cost of $20 to $25 million, mine that out in a years of activities, and it would bring us in a gross revenue of somewhere around $150 million. That would be a nice injection of cash to help us move to our bigger projects, which I will move to next. That's also a head frame at Debarwa that was put in by an Ethiopian-Japanese partnership in 1970. They put a little bit of underground development, and the Civil War was going on, and they quickly abandoned it. So as I said, we're looking at that entire deposit as a standalone, kicking off with the DSO. Now moving to the north, this is where the big long-term value in Sunridge is. Our biggest and most important asset is Embadero. It's a 70 million ton measured and indicated deposit containing 1 billion pounds of copper, 2 billion pounds of zinc, gold and silver. Two satellite deposits, Adinefes, 6 kilometers away, extremely high grade, zinc, copper, gold, and the Gupo gold deposit, a gold-only project, 6 kilometers away, averaging 3 grams per ton gold, so fairly significant. The location at Embadero is the perfect location for an open pit mine and a major plant. It's 3 kilometers from the nearest village. There's a couple of our drills sitting right on top of the deposit. The fact that it's a hill actually helps out with the waste to ore ratio, and this is where the center of all our activities would be. The 3D geological model for Embadero shows the gold cap, the zinc-rich zone, and a copper-rich zone. Now this is, as I said, a 70 million ton deposit. It's a fairly big size, but it's in a very favorable geometric shape for an open pit mine. It will offer a very favorable waste to ore ratio. We expect somewhere around 2.5 to 1. Also, the metallurgy here is exceptional. Very high recoveries for copper and zinc, and it will create a very saleable product. The current resource itself, as I mentioned, this was updated last month. All in, we've got about 70 million tons. The gold oxide cap at top, 1.74 million tons, averaging 1 gram per ton. And the most important zones for our company and for the life of this project is the copper-rich zone, which is 50 million tons, averaging 0.83% copper and 0.93% zinc. The zinc-rich primary zone, 17 million tons, averaging 2.8% zinc with gold and silver credits. And I mentioned Adinefes, 6 kilometers away. This would be a high-grade feed to work with the plant at Embadero. This would be an underground mine, but it averages 10% zinc, 1.8% copper, 3.3 grams per ton gold, and 115 grams per ton silver. So it's very rich grades. The gross metal value is somewhere around $500 a ton. So this will be blended in probably about 1 to 10 with Embadero as a sweetener. So where we are in this pre-feasibility study, we're a month away from completion, so we sort of got a rough idea how things are falling into place. Located at Embadero, we'll have a gold circuit, which will process the gold cap from Embadero, the gold from Gupo, and there's trade-off studies with the gold from Debarwa. And then we'll also have a copper and zinc circuit flotation, where we will process the material from the copper and zinc zones at Embadero, blending in the high-grade feed from Adinefes and the primary material from Debarwa. Now, when this comes out, this will be the most important milestone for our company. This will demonstrate we're expecting high NPVs and economic numbers, and it looks like a 15-year mine life processing about 4 million tons per year. Now, for the last few years, we really have focused on moving our 4 deposits towards production, but we still have enormous upside. We have several high-priority VMS targets that we have yet to drill, and we've just started drilling again for the first time in several years. We do expect to make more discoveries. Our team, I'm just running out of time here so quickly, we've got 5 members of us that previously worked with Nevsun. Michael Hopley, our CEO, was with VP of Exploration for BEMA, very successful. 2 members of Lundin Mining on our board. SGC, we trade on the Toronto Venture Exchange, 117 million shares outstanding. Our current market cap is about 70 million. And finally, the key upcoming milestones, as I mentioned, Debarwa feasibility study sometime in the next month. We'll also update a resource calculation for Gupo with 200 additional holes. We expect to see that grow. And again, our most important news ever will be mid-April, our pre-feasibility study. And for the next 6 months, we'll have exploration results. So we're very busy. I have a booth outside if you have any further questions, and we're also at the PDAC. Thank you.